I've recently run into a bit of an issue with my game development journey as a solo full-time game developer, and it kind of becomes a bit of a paradox as I'm trying to figure out how to make my game fun. And you see, the paradox is the more and the deeper and the further along my development journey for my game Hexagod here, the further along that journey I am, the less capable I am of understanding if this game is even fun. I saw it in a GDC or some game conference thing where some solo was talking about this, where they said, I just had to at some point trust the past version of myself to know that what they had designed in the game design document was good. They were putting faith in the previous version to kind of guide their light. And although I might kind of trust the intuition at the beginning of Hexagod, I definitely don't trust the past version of myself. I've seen some of the code he wrote. Past me was terrible at programming, and current me could never make a mistake, and I'm sure future me is going to be such a giga chad and know everything about programming and just be the smartest developer out there. And so I'm left thinking, how do I know if my game is fun? Because as I play the game, I know my intended play style. When I put a feature in, I know how I want you to interact with like this reroll button here, or rotating these tiles, or placing new tiles down. I have in my head the idea behind how I want you to work with it, and kind of what I'm intending you as the player to play. And like, that kind of ruins my ability to break the game or understand if it's fun, because not only do I know my intended design choices, I'm also, when I'm playing it, I'm looking at the tooltip to see the spacing of the words and the characters and the colors of things, and I'm looking at the spacing between all the different elements, and when I click, what happens here, what sound effect happens, how long does it take? So my brain's in this analytical mode where I'm basically QAing my stuff and looking and ripping apart the implementation of some of my ideas to see if my eye can catch anything that needs to change. And so it's hard. It's really hard to figure out if your game is fun, especially as we're getting closer and closer to the game being done, which is kind of the paradox in itself. Is like, you need to know if the game is fun to inform your decisions, but if you can't understand if it's fun, how do you inform your decisions? And sometimes I think a perspective change of the goals can be good here. And so one of the perspective changes I've been doing recently is that I want to, instead of giving the player fun choices and fun in the game, I'm focusing on giving the player interesting decisions that have impact on the gameplay. That might be looking at giving them a few different ways of generating food or various resources here, or simply as they re-roll the costs here, I have a scaling up value. So now they have to start making these choices of, do I want to re-roll this group of 4 tiles here to place them, or should I just take the one that exists already and kind of it becomes a resource dump? But I'm hoping if I can balance that this simply the reroll cost having an increasing value that resets daily, I'm hoping I can make at least an interesting choice about when do you reroll and at what point do you keep kind of burning resources into this pool of rerolling. That's just one example of areas where I'm not maybe making it fun, although hopefully it is fun. I'm trying to make it interesting, and then the balance comes later. But then that still doesn't answer the question, is the game fun? And that's where feedback becomes really important. And I'll say specifically here that feedback from people on the internet is awesome and great. But what becomes worth its time in gold, or whatever the saying ends up being, I think watching somebody play the game is so important. So if you have friends who maybe are familiar with the genre, or are willing to playtest the game, or heck, have maybe never played a game before, ask them to pull open your game when you're ready. Because one of the things that is really helpful of watching somebody play is you'll see what things they stumble on, what things draw their attention, and maybe you didn't want their attention to be drawn to that thing. And so as you basically spend your friend as a playtester, you'll spend their ability to go through the gameplay loop for the first time. And one of the hardest parts in game development is the first 15 minutes, where you need to hook the player in by both teaching them how they actually interact with the game and what the gameplay loop is, and also showing them the fun. That's a hard thing to do in 15 minutes. And so being able to watch somebody without any sort of ability to, like, you should not be telling them what to do, but simply sitting there quietly and patiently, making notes, writing things down about things you would improve, or maybe eventually asking a question when they say something. Like, for example, I had my friend play last night, which helped me clarify a bunch of stuff for this new build. I had him go through and I said, hey, what does that line on that tooltip mean for you? And then through kind of talking about that, I was able to determine that some of the design choices in the game just didn't fit. So as you have maybe a list of people who can play your game, and it could even be people in my Discord that you want to maybe try to have them make a review copy, or maybe they're gracious enough to jump into a one-on-one Discord call with you. Don't be annoying about it. You can start to spend this ability to see that new player experience. What happens when they click? What are they expecting to happen? Because there's even some things where I asked them, I was like, what were you doing there? And they said, oh, I was expecting to be able to rename, like they wanted to rename the shrine building that they placed in. I was like, okay, interesting. As a feature, I might think about that, but what were you trying to do? And they said, I was trying to right click it like a menu on a Windows computer. So understanding some of those default gut reactions can really help inform design choices and decisions of the UI. But above and beyond that new player experience and the readability and clarity of your game systems, that is my number one ticket to understanding the fun in the game. Now, if you're using your friends to understand if it's fun, discount what they say when they wrap up the game. If they say, yeah, I had a fun time playing the game, well, you might be able to hear in their voice that they're lying, but I think even so, you should just throw that comment out completely, but instead make sure you are actively listening to what they're saying. Have them narrate their decision-making as they're playing through it, and given enough time of this playing of this demo, eventually you'll hear them have moments of fun, moments where they go, oh, I see. So if I had more adjacent stone here, I'd be able to have more stone on. Oh, cool. And then that would give me this thing too. Okay, cool. And you can hear the fun happening. See what they're doing. It's also really helpful. In my case, last night I was watching my friend play it. He finished the demo and then immediately jumped back in and started playing another round. I then said, hey, I have to go to the bathroom or go make dinner, came back, and they were playing yet a third and fourth round of the game. Those are little signs that the fun is there. And then furthermore, I was listening to Ludwig talk about, I think his Unpaid Intern, he was talking about as a show he is putting on his YouTube channel. And he said, if you put something out there and you get a bunch of ideas from people about how they can make it better, you might not agree with the ideas or anything like that, but it's a great finger in the wind that shows you something about this is good. If someone cares enough to give you ideas about how you could do something better, that is a huge sign. So start listening to what your friend is saying, how they're saying it, and maybe don't listen to the, oh yeah, it's a fun game and stuff like that, but just listen to the other comments they're saying adjacent to that and try to dig into their feelings and emotions. If you want to play this game, the demo is live right now. This last demo, I ripped out cards and instead put in a little bit of a building menu, which is going to be improved over time and stuff like that. So although you're tainted and you understand my design choices and stuff like that, your feedback is still valuable. Your ideas are still valuable. We're 6 months into this project. I'm hoping to get it into maybe early access or a full release in March of this year. So go play the demo. Your ideas can still impact and dramatically change how successful and fun this will be. Listen, this stuff's hard. Building a small community of people around me through people in my Discord, people here on YouTube, or heck, I'll be live over on Twitch if you want to talk to me live and share the pain and suffering that is trying to make your own game, but also celebrate the small victories you've had along the way. I'm here. So come hang out over on Twitch. It should be a blast. It's Pizza Friday. It's a fun time to hang out. And if you are not watching this live on Friday, I appreciate you making it to the end of this video. This stuff's hard. I guarantee if you give it enough time, enough patience, enough dedication, Eventually, you're going to look back at the game you're making, the game you've made, the game you've released, the game that has sold to actual players, and you'll be insanely proud of what you've done, and then you can move on to the next game. I appreciate you watching, playing the demo, and wishlisting Hexagod. Until next time, I've been Aarimous. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.